Hi, boys and girls. This is Ms. Kathy. I'm so happy you've joined me today for another story just for you. Jacob's Ladder. Jacob walked all day across the fields and over the hills. He was alone and afraid. His father was angry with him, and his brother wanted to kill him. The more he thought about what he had done, the worse he felt. I lied to my father, he said to himself. I tricked him into giving me the birthright blessing. He is very mad at me. God must be very angry with me too. I wonder if either one of them will ever forgive me. Jacob kept walking until it was too dark to see where he was going. The only place he could sleep was on the ground. All he had for a pillow was a big rock, but he was so tired that he fell asleep and started to dream. In his dream, Jacob saw a shining ladder that reached all the way from this world up to heaven. Angels were hurrying up and down the ladder, busy doing things for God. But the most amazing thing of all was God. He was standing at the top of the ladder looking down at Jacob. Then God spoke, I am the God of your grandfather Abraham and your father Isaac. I will give you this land that you are sleeping on. It belongs to you, your children, your grandchildren, and all of their children. Your family will become a great tribe of people, and all the families of the earth will be happier because of them. I am with you, Jacob, God said. I will protect you everywhere you go and bring you back someday to this land that I have promised you. Then the dream faded, and Jacob's eyes snapped open. He was amazed and afraid. God was right here where I am all the time, and I didn't know it, he said. Even though he had done wrong things, God still cared about him. Jacob was still going to be the leader of his family, of God's special family. The next morning, Jacob took the rock that he had used as a pillow and stood it up on one end. Then he poured oil on it to show that it was special and holy, as he said, I will call this place God's house. Then he made a promise. God will not be just the God of my grandfather and father anymore. He will be my God from now on. I will follow him, and he will protect me. After he walked many, many more miles, Jacob came to the land of Haran. He stopped at a well to ask some shepherds, Do you know Laban? How can I find him? We know him, they answered. Look, there is his daughter Rachel leading his sheep here to the well. As Jacob watched Rachel lead the sheep nearer, he asked, Why are you all waiting here in the middle of the day? Why don't you water your sheep and go back to the fields? We can't, they explained. We have to wait until enough shepherds are here to move the big stone that covers the well. But when Rachel and her sheep arrived, Jacob went and moved the big stone all by himself so she could get water for her sheep. When Jacob told her who he was, Rachel ran home to get her father. Laban rushed out to welcome Jacob to his home. So Jacob lived there with Laban and his sons and his two daughters, Rachel and Leah. Jacob went to work helping with the flocks of sheep and goats. After a month or so, Laban said, It's not fair for you to work for nothing. What would you like me to pay you? Jacob knew exactly what he wanted. I will work for you for 7 years if you will let me marry your daughter Rachel. Laban agreed. So Jacob worked for Laban for 7 years. But he loved Rachel so much that it seemed like only a few days. When it was time for the wedding, Laban threw a big party for all their friends and relatives. The bride wore a veil that covered her face completely. The next morning when he woke up, Jacob discovered that he had married Leah instead of Rachel. Uncle Laban, he shouted as he ran out, you tricked me. You know I wanted to marry Rachel. Uncle Laban just smiled. You can still marry Rachel, but you must work for 7 more years. So Jacob married Rachel and worked for 7 more years. But he learned how it felt to be tricked like he had tricked his father. God was with him, but Jacob still had a lot to learn.
The story you have heard today is from the Shoebox Kids Bible Stories, written by Jerry D. Thomas and used with permission from the Pacific Press Publishing Association. If you're interested in any other books published by the Seventh-day Adventist Church, please visit AdventistBookCenter.com or call 1-800-765-6955.
This podcast is a production of the Carolina Conference of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.